What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today we're going to talk about Aurora. You can already see her driving around there in the background in a little chair, I guess. And well, you should be happy because she is going to come to AFK Journey and she's going to be free. That is all going to work out through a quest. We are going to check it out in a second. First of all, what does she do? Well, she is a mage. She is kind of a summoner type, has different summons, and mainly she is very tanky, and that is kind of a big asset for many players. If you are in the early game, having a very tanky hero that can also dish out some damage can be huge. And of course, in the end game later on, she still, I think, can be a very valuable asset, and I want to show that to you guys. You basically start off when you use her, and we can show that in the trial stage. You start off with her on the battlefield. She creates an area, and that area is an area in which she can apply CC. She also instantly summons her unicorn, and really on the first look doesn't do too much else, and she will occasionally create an item from her dreams and throw that at the enemy. And the other thing is this little rabbit you can see next to the unicorn. That is her second ability and is a summon and has a ton of HP. And when this is on the battlefield, I have to say the effective HP she really brings to the board is kind of insane. You can also see a sword above that little rabbit. She will assign friendly summons a type, and that type will then make it so they get special buffs. So she's also supporting summons from other units, which in theory would make her interesting to combine with heroes as such as Florabelle, and really I think Cessia would also be something. We are kind of lacking good support units for that, which is a little bit sad and something we'll come to in a second. But really, the effective HP is the thing. When we look into her stats, it says she summons her unicorn Sonny, which we saw, and that already inherits 140% of her HP and 120% of her other basic stats, and gets upgraded even to 220% of her HP, and you can still buff that with ult power. So could be like 300% overall, which is a ton of HP on the board. We then get the bunny, Dream Spark Bunny, lasts for 12 seconds, so it's a time limited one, but this also has 100% of her HP, which is quite insane. So really at that point you can see how we already have like 460% HP on the board, which is madness. So that is something you can see in many different situations, and I want to show you guys an example for to what that can lead, because I was testing it a little bit in PvP against this guy who had a Chimera team. And the interesting part is it was a Chimera team fueled by Pandora, which is a kind of a madness. And also because we probably won't be able to do another video on Pioneer, and probably won't find the time for Solis. Sol is also pretty great. I hope I can do a video tomorrow. I don't know when they will close Pioneer, but I hope I can make a video on her tomorrow. She's excellent. I like her. We have her in the front row, and this is really a good position for her because you generally want her to be tanky, to be able to be attacked by the enemy, not her specifically. She's actually invincible during the time she sleeps, which is all the time her unicorn is alive, so she'll only wake up once her unicorn dies. And you want enemies to be in her area, that's why she's in the front. But what I mainly want to show you guys here is how this Pandora is going to attack, or the Chimera is going to attack us, and how we're still going to survive with that, because so much HP is on the board, and that of course all soaks up damage. And if you then add an excellent healer to the board that you will get with Solis, then this will lead to you being able to tank quite a lot. On top of that, summons, of course, with the type. We had multiple summons here on the board. They take 25% less damage through the melee type, which is the Knight type. And you can see there was a Chimera ult. We lost some summons, but I mean, HP bars, if you look at the bottom of the field, they look quite good. They look quite good. And this is really what makes her in a way excellent. This enormous tankiness. Second Chimera ult, let's see how much that kills. Occasionally it can kill a unit. I mean, it just has to focus a little bit more on it. But yeah, you don't even see it really. You don't even see it really. And I showed this screenshot of this damage chart to the Discord, because I've never seen one that does look so much like I lost the fight, but I really won it. So really, really crazy. overall, super tanky unit. Damage-wise, it's not a lot. It's not like, we would say like a Chimera Gala level, some enormous damage. I wouldn't categorize her as that. She's a tank with a decent damage potential at that. That is currently mostly my view on her. And I think she still has potential to explore. I still think she has something in the future where we say, okay, now is really her time to shine. Because, well, if we take a look at her skills, we saw the ult. Does decent damage, is nice. We have Aurora in her invincible mode. Sonny on the side wakes up if Sonny is dead. And then I have to say, when Sonny really dies and she wakes up, then most of the time she's pretty much immediately dead. So the unicorn has to survive, but it usually does. It usually works out. You have to play around with that if you try her in teams and see that. The thing really about her is we have this special mythic plus ability. It says Dream Whale, and we saw it a few times already because some melee units were included in the fights and they had this little sword above their head. Essentially what she will do is she will start her Dream Theater, boosting damage of all allied summons by 4% and casting them in special roles. And those roles are depending on whether it's melee or a ranged summon. And our unicorn friend, of course, has a special buff. He gets both the knights and princess buffs and becomes unaffected. So this is pretty good. Damage gets increased a bit as well. All the melee ones will take 25% less damage, which is insane. That's actually quite a lot. And the range ones will deal a lot of extra damage. So this is also pretty good. But really, when I'm thinking about summoners, yeah, Cessia, off meta for a while for a reason. Florabelle, off meta for a while for a reason. And even if you provide those buffs, I don't think it's really going to change a lot. So really, at this point, I am waiting for a great summoner. And I've said this ever since the start of the game, because I like summoners. I like to do summoner builds, and we never really had the opportunity, which is a bit sad. We then have some extra things, and I have to kind of address this at this point. We have, of course, the summon damage, which is great, 12% extra damage for summons at plus 10. And plus 15 we get a buff. When allied summons deal damage to the enemy marked as Nightmare, which is a special enemy in the front row, we can show that it should be included in the ult. The frontmost enemy hero gets marked as the Nightmare. The mark reduces their haste by 40%, but increases their attack by 2%, which you don't notice. And then there is a very important part. Sonny relies all allied summons to focus their attack on the Nightmare. So all summons will try to defeat this Nightmare. And for those, there is an interesting thing here. 25% of damage dealt ignores all enemy phys and magic death. This was changed, however. What I have right here is a screenshot made by Ashu of the stats of her on the VN server. And as we can see over here, it says 50% of the damage dealt. So this was in fact buffed, increased from 25% to 50%, which is really nice because, well, a hero without phys and magic death becomes rather squishy. So that provides us with a nice opportunity to really melt through an enemy. Of course, now we have multiple ways to kind of bypass that. Often you will find that the hero that you really would want to kill, let's say for example a Perseus team, would be Perseus in that team, of course, and he's mostly in the back line and then only running to the front, which wouldn't make him the Nightmare, but in most situations it would be Zendrok in those teams. Or you have heroes in the front that are protected by Alna, which can also be a bit of a problem. So there are many situations where the Nightmare is not really a high priority target, but still quite a big increase here. And if you do have summons, which I mean with Aurora on the board you natively have with Sonny, then this will be a nice damage increase for her, as Sonny is her main way of providing damage at the start and will of course attack this Nightmare hero which is in the front. The other one is the Dream Spark Bunny skill. We do have an increase there as well, and this was actually increased right here. It now gets 80% of her other basic stats. This was 60% before. So other stats, of course, all of her normal stats that she has, like Phys Def, Magic Def, and all of that stuff. So there is a buff there to her, and this is of course rather interesting for us. And a very good thing, I think, because in some ways I experienced her as lackluster before I really got more experience in using her. And while we are at it, This is actually the event that will be permanently available for new players at the start to actually acquire her. You can see there is a lot of loot in her. There we have even some artifacts in there. We have some normal loot, so you progress through this by completing different quests, like adding a friend or something, and you will be able to get all of the copies that you need to get her to Supreme Plus throughout this quest chain, which is, I think, a very good system and very nice that they introduced that. What is also very nice is, of course, LD Shop. LD Shop providing you with the best prizes for Dragon Crystals will make it way easier to get the heroes that you desire up to the level that you want by just getting your Dragon Crystals cheaper and at the same time also supporting me. So that is definitely a good thing. If you want to save on your Dragon Crystals right now, then click the link down in the description, register an account, and this will give you a 15% and a 5% discount coupon to make your next purchases even cheaper. So definitely check out LD Shop, and thank you for supporting me. And now let's continue with the video. So while we are waiting for this ability to really take effect, and I think once we get some Celestial or Hypergene Summoner, this will become great. She already does a ton of stuff with her other abilities. There's actually one ability that will CC enemies that come within her circle and stay there for a certain amount of time. And this is, of course, something that kind of screams use me in AFK stages as well. And in fact, she is actually doing quite a bit of damage in there. I just set up like this team, not really a super great one, by the way. Fancy trend over here, or what is it? Plant? I don't even know what it is. What are you? A blue mother. Okay. And we can see I placed her in the front line there, used Iron here for some extra CC. Valara is in there and Bonnie to keep the CC consistently because she can't really keep it up. Basically, for first CC to apply, an enemy would need to be in the circle for 12 seconds, which, interestingly enough, it really doesn't happen if Iron just does his CC normally. If you do cast the ult manually, you can pull them in the circle and it gets enhanced. This is, by the way, her Supreme Plus ability that makes the circle bigger. She needs to reach 500 energy for that to happen, and then her circle will become, well, almost as big as the map, we can say. Quite annoyingly, with Iron combined, the enemies will still be outside of the circle, most of them anyway. So you have to manually cast Iron ult to pull the enemies in the circle, which you can do, is not really a big thing. But then you can see the enemies do get CC'd occasionally, and this will help her quite a lot, or help quite a lot in general. And then we get the Valara stuff active, and yeah, really melt through the enemy team. We can see the final damage numbers here in a second. Let's check those out. And usually the numbers of her are pretty impressive, I have to say. Yeah, we can see that again. Doing pretty good damage, out-damaging Bonnie at the same time. And I mean, the way you really want to do this, I kind of have to set this up actually, because this is the Pioneer server. It is not really set up in the way that I usually have it. Where is it? There. Okay. That should work. We can try one more time. Oh, those are the annoying ones. Every time you want to do a presentation and stuff is like, comes annoying. I would do the first ult still like this, honestly. Would probably do it on autocast, just because it's very, very fast and you get the extra CC. Iron actually went to the front. Okay, not good. Okay, let's try again. I think with this positioning it should be a little bit easier. Also fits a little better where he pulls them, so they are almost already in the circle there. Should be nice. Does he? It really is trying to attack her, I think, or not even the unicorn. Very interesting. Okay, let's wait for another ult. Mr. Iron, please. Oh no, wait, I tapped. That wasn't smart. You can see it on them actually, they have like this little effect there, and they will be CC'd basically once it's loaded up for half of the time they are also, which is quite substantially actually, and very easily stackable with other stuff. Then you have like the CC from Iron, you have the CC from Ulmus, you stack that all together and you get a very good CC uptime from that. On top of like the damage, the tankiness and everything. I think that is a rather nice thing. We got the disarm there, and he's gone. Basically just stood there at the same position for the entire time. We even got the Valara buff up. I think it can be interesting. You especially have to consider there, I think oftentimes this will be a team that is rather achievable then for players that just really don't have Cider. And I just have the hope that Aurora will be able to replace Cider in some team situations at least. Just by providing an additional bit of CC tankiness and of course, well, also damage at the same time. And that would really be ideal. And also don't forget, everybody gets access to her. So it's not like a hero like Cider where you specifically have to summon for her, you have to save up the Stellar Crystals and then you can get her over an extended amount of time. No, this is basically available through the quest to early game players within like the first week. And I think the performance in AFK stages for that and for that specific purpose as an early game available character is quite outstanding. I think she will be an asset to just progress to AFK stages and everything for players for quite a long time. And it will probably be a rather famous hero in AFK journey because all the players that basically start the game, they will notice how good she is in that. And I think she will get a place in PvP too. Is she a hero that I want to summon to like P4? Because that works, and by the way, you get her to Supreme Plus, but once you have her there, she is actually in the Stargaze station. So we can see I just put her in there. I actually opened the Stargaze station to check that specifically. Had to do 400 summons for that. Yeah, you can summon her in the Stargaze station to get, of course, to Paragon 4 if you so desire, because she will be Supreme Plus and there will be no events after that will bring her higher than that. So that is the thing. If you want to use her for PvP and endgame, of course, then, well, you probably will need some Paragon. And I don't really think I will do that right now. Maybe eventually once we get like a summoner, I could see that. I, by the way, especially love her design overall, and we can watch the ult animation because we haven't done that yet, I think. It's just glorious. I have to say it. It's just glorious. It gives her 10 extra points on that. So yeah, definitely a hero I think we can look forward to without really having the need to absolutely invest in her. I think for the AFK stages that will be great. For the early game on new players that will be great. For PvP, it's a maybe, I think. And overall, great hero. So tell me your opinion about Aurora down in the comments. Of course, check out my link for LD Shop if you want to support me. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see us in the next one.